Did you have trouble keeping up with the timeline of the first Netflix Witcher series? Well, get ready to jump back in time with a new prequel series. And just for fun, let's throw in the concept of a multiverse, because why not? Let's talk about The Witcher Blood Origins, and talk about which historical events we could use some serious clarification on. The first Witcher series on Netflix is based on two collections of short stories, called The Last Witch and Sword of Destiny. These take place before the main Witcher saga, and involve characters like Yennefer, Ciri, and of course Geralt of Rivia. But go ahead and forget about all those characters for now, because The Witcher Blood Origins takes place way before Geralt and Yennefer started their will they, won't they relationship. About 1200 years before then, to be precise. According to showrunner Declan DeBarra, the series will address what the Elven world was like before the cataclysmic arrival of the humans.
Countless elves have died.
Because even in works of fantastical fiction, humans still have a habit of ruining everything. But they do some things right, which is why the show will also tell the story of the very first Witcher. That's right, they may not be as charming as Henry Cavill, but there have been other Witchers out there. The first Netflix Witcher series made it clear that relations between humans and elves are, how to put it delicately, bad. Real bad. So I'd love to see what life was like for the elves at the height of their power and civilization. We know they built grand towns and palaces and traveled large distances on their ships. But what was their society like, and how did they achieve so much? Was it simply their long lifespans, or were ancient elves really hustling for progress for some reason? It would be interesting to see if there were additional factors to the elves' downfall in addition to human intervention. And now the natural next question we all want to know the answer to: can elves be witchers? We know all about human witchers, but an elven witcher would be something else entirely. In the lore of the series, it's believed that there were elven witchers in the cat school, but I'd love to see some evidence of this and learn what life was like for them. The cataclysmic event DeBarra mentioned has a name, and unfortunately for casual fans, it's not very descriptive. If you finally figured out the law of surprise, get ready to learn about the conjunction of spheres, an event which impacted the entire multiverse. What, you think Marvel has a patent on fictional multiverses? Basically, the conjunction of spheres ended up trapping all kinds of creatures on the main Witcher timeline. This includes generally unfriendly fellows like ghouls and vampires, as well as beings like gnomes, dwarves, and humans. And if these creatures finding themselves together on a single plane of existence wasn't chaotic enough, the event also threw a hefty dose of magic in there for good measure. Fans of the franchise likely know about the excruciating trial of grasses prospective witchers have to endure. Students down a bunch of ingredients that give them powers, but also have a high probability of being fatal. We don't know how the process was developed, although I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was probably unpleasant. It also makes you wonder what monster-related accident happened that was bad enough for feeding caustic chemicals to kids to seem like a good idea. Since elves are known for their knowledge and affinity for magic, it's possible that the trial of grasses wasn't an entirely human creation. We know the human mages Alzur and Cosimo Malaspina got all the credit, but that doesn't mean they really did all the work. There was likely a lot of really unpleasant trial and error surrounding the creation of the first Witcher, whoever that person was. It seems likely that this was either some poor kid who wound up being sold to or stolen by mages, or a child who had lost enough to make risking it all for the trial worth it for the chance to fight monsters. Of course, we all love seeing Geralt hunt down monsters, but keep in mind that there was once a time when there were a whole lot more dangerous creatures roaming around. In fact, one of the reasons people aren't so eager to toss a coin to their witchers anymore is because they seem obsolete in the face of a relatively monster-free society. But if we're looking back to the creation of the very first Witcher, then it seems likely we'll see a whole lot more magic, monsters, and more early elves and humans. And speaking of early humans, where did the Dauk and Wasgor come from? Very little is known about these early humans, and whether they eventually went extinct or gradually assimilated to become the people we now know as Nordlings. Were they driven to extinction by monsters, or is there another reason so much of their history has been lost to the passage of time? If you're hoping to check out Blood Origins, make sure you don't confuse it with The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf. Yes, we're getting multiple Witcher spin-offs, and Nightmare of the Wolf is an animated tale focused on Geralt's mentor, Vesemir. Although we don't have a release date for Blood Origins yet, we do know the prequel will be 6 parts, and Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich, showrunner of the original series, will be the executive producer, while writer Andrzej Sapkowski will be a creative consultant. Rest assured, I will be eagerly checking for any signs of a release date for this series. Well, what are you hoping to see covered in the Witcher prequel? Share your burning questions and carefully crafted predictions with us and your fellow fans in the comments section down below. Make sure to stay connected with us here at CBR by clicking on that subscribe button and turning on your notifications for more new videos. As always, thanks for watching.